Okay, in this exercise, we're going to focus on the sense of feel or touch. So if you'd like to, I'll just invite you to soften your gaze or close your eyes and just bring your attention into your body and just feel the weight of your body on the seat. And just feel yourself being held. Just knowing that right now there's nothing else you have to do. And just bringing your attention and awareness into your breath. And you might want to take a changing breath, where you just take a big deep breath in and a long, slow breath out, completely emptying your lungs before allowing your breath to return to its normal rhythm. And just bringing your awareness to the feel of your skin. Feel the air on your skin. Maybe it's warm, maybe there's a breeze, maybe it's perfectly still. And just feel the parts of your body that are touching. Maybe your hands are touching each other, and your body on the seat. And just using your hands to feel a texture, maybe of your clothes, maybe of the seat. Just connecting with the sensation of touch. Just connecting with how your body feels today. And not trying to change it, just allowing it to be. When you're ready, just bringing your focus back to your breath. Perhaps noticing the feel of your breath, of the air in your throat, in your nose. And then bringing your attention back into the room, and opening your eyes if they were closed. And again, that's another great exercise to do in nature, just feeling the bark of a tree or the softness of a leaf, or just stroking your dog or cat at home and just connecting and celebrating that sensation of touch.
Thank you, Alice, for that wonderful grounding exercise. I hope you can use that mindfulness activity when you're in the garden. My name's Emma, I'm a member of the Greenlinks team here at Bath Mind, and today I'm going to talk you through how to upcycle planters. So we're going to start off with a very simple can of sweet corn. Obviously any can that you have that you've used, eaten the contents of and given a nice wash of the tin will be a really useful place to start. So we're going to give it a wash and take off the label, and what we're going to end up with is just the empty shell of the tin. Now what you can see I've done here, or started to do here, is use some of our trusty twine from our gardener's toolkit, and I've just gently glued that round the edge of the can. So I've chosen to do it at the top and the bottom. You might choose to do that around the middle. It's just a really nice way of decorating a very simple tin and give it a really nice decorative effect. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our compost and we're going to add a little bit of grit to that. I'm going to give it a good mix, And the reason we're doing that is just to add some drainage. So this is quite a small container, and so we want to make sure that the compost in it is going to drain away really nicely depending on what we plant in it. The other thing we're going to do is, ideally we're going to punch some holes in the bottom. So you can use something like a corkscrew or a hammer and nail, so do this very, very carefully, but that is just going to let some of the water drain out. If you're not confident doing that immediately, you can also pop some water in there, freeze that, and then put the holes in with a corkscrew, and there'll be no danger of you hurting yourself. So onto our gritted compost. We're going to put that into our tin, which now has some drainage holes in it. And today what we're going to do is we're going to repot these little sempervivums. So these are very small little alpine plants. They're pretty tough, but what I really like about them is they set these little offsets and they look very pretty in little planters. So we're going to pop this into our planter today. Equally, what you could do is sow some basil seeds, some other herbs like parsley straight into this, and then this can sit on your windowsill and you can watch your seeds germinate. So onto our semps. So what we're going to do is we're just going to tease these out of the pot. Now what you can see is they're already in a gritty compost, so we're going to use that to our advantage. We've only partially filled our tin can already, and we're going to gently let those tease out, make a little bit of a mess. You can see the roots there of the semps, and we're going to just pop them in with a little bit of a flourish. And then we're going to use a slightly smaller trowel to help us to infill our can so that the roots are nice and covered. As I mentioned, these sempervivums are pretty indestructible, but they do need their roots covered when they're being potted on. And what we'll find is that they'll be absolutely at their best if we leave the top centimetre of compost dry. So we'll water them, or maybe even just use a spray to keep them moist on occasion. But essentially, we're going to keep that top centimetre of compost dry. For decorative effect, you might want to just put a little garnish of gravel on the top. And because I want to give this as a gift, I've got a little plant label. I'm going to pop that in the top. If I'd sown some basil seeds, I'd write basil on there. In this case, I'm going to write thank you and pass that on. Okay, so that is our upcycled tin can planter. Very cute and ready to gift or display. Next, we're going to move on to another idea for upcycling, which can use some of those bigger jars that perhaps you might find that you've used up at home. So this one here is a little bit more decorative. This had some gherkins in its original form, and now we're going to use it to create a terrarium. So what you might have seen before is a terrarium that looks a little bit like this. So you'll see some succulent or alpine plants, you'll see a lovely layer of kind of gravelly soil and maybe kind of a decorative finish, and that might sit flat on a surface, or as you can see here, might hang up. And the other type of mini terrarium that you might have come across are these little globes, and again what you'll notice is this little hook, so you could hang that up or you could just leave it on a surface. Now these things here you can buy in the shops, but we are going to use our trusty gherkin jar to create our own terrarium using recycled materials. Now what you can do if you want to make it even more decorative from the side is you could think about using some sand or different types of sand and create a bit of a layered effect, or you could even use some bigger stones to sit on the bottom. What that will do is help with drainage, but also from the side of our gherkin jar that will look really nice and decorative when it's sat on a surface. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some grit in the base. So now we've got a nice little layer of our alpine grit. I'm going to take our gritty compost and add that into our jar, just giving it a gentle shake as we go, just to help it settle nicely. And again, we're going to use these little sempervivum plants, which, as we've already discussed, are pretty hardy. And so what we're going to do is, now that we've got half of our jar filled, you can see the layers nicely there. We're going to take our semps out of the pot, like we did with our planter. These are actually rooted a little bit more. And this is going to be the tricky bit. So thinking about mindfulness and grounding exercises, this is a really good practice for that, because you're going to need to do a little bit of work to just get that nice and in place. And we're going to use our smaller trowel with a bit more of that compost, and we're going to just infill. But we're going to do that really, really gently, so that we slowly fill in around the roots of our little semps. Okay, so now, as we did before, I'm going to put a little layer of our grit on the top, but also, because I quite like the decorative finish, I've got a little collection of shells here, and I'm going to place a couple of those in my terrarium as well. But you might want to use some decorative stones, or perhaps some crystallized stones, something just to give that extra decorative edge when you're looking over your terrarium, but also from the side. So it's a very, very basic terrarium, but hopefully something like that might inspire you to create a little bit of indoor garden at home.